GT cars around the streets of Macau are something to savour. We are about to have 12 laps of them for GT3 machinery and so many mouth-watering cars represented. Look at them. Raffaele Marciano, last year he was oh so dominant. He was quickest in qualifying. He won the qualification race and he won the final race on Grand Prix day. He starts off on pole position today for the qualification race in a BMW. Last year in a Mercedes, this year in a BMW. And superb yesterday with a 2:15.509 around the Guia Circuit. That is a car on the second row of the grid. And we say so many beautiful cars are represented here at Macau, and really just incredible to launch the huge power of this GT3 machinery under the confines with the barriers and the walls of the Guia Circuit here at Macau. A real test for this car, for these cars around the Guia Circuit of Macau. As we look down on it with the BMW safety car lined up right at the front of the field, you realise just how well populated this is, not just by GT3 machinery, but also by the various teams and all of the representatives of the sponsors. Quite a lot of Instagram reels are being prepared down there on the grid as well, as the world's press line up on the grid as well. Now, David Addison is going to be down there to hopefully get a word with a few of the drivers before we get this race underway. But the way the timetable has worked today has been very, very quick. Let's get down to David Addison, who will get the chance to really sample the feelings of the drivers with David.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Macau Grand Prix grid and welcome to the grid for the qualifying race for the FIA GT World Cup. Now, it is a mega grid this. If you go through the who's who of GT3 racing, probably every name that's behind me will be on it because it really is just outstanding. And this, the first race of the two of the weekend, the result of which determines the grid for tomorrow's main race. Now, before we get into the race itself, let's go and have a walk and see who we can find. I would do this to my cameraman, wouldn't I? I'd take him one way and then find a driver the other. We need to start with the man that won last year's race, and it's Raffaele Marciano, who was a Mercedes star last year, now in BMW, and Lalo, nothing's changed. You're still on pole position. Thoughts ahead of the race?
Yeah, let's see. I mean, yesterday was a strange quality, let's say, but I mean, at the end was the same for everyone. So we did a good job. Yeah. So I mean, I'm happy to be on pole. We know how much it matters there, but yeah, today, you know, it's for nothing. So we just have to try to finish the same position, and then the big fight will be tomorrow for sure.
You're in the right place. You've got this lovely long fast section ahead of you where the car can stretch its legs. The road is open and fast. It's a case of staying ahead there because up the mountain section it's so narrow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to beat Thierry in BMW, so that actually is always quite quick in the straight, but everyone is saying that the BMW is too quick in the straight, but last year I was first also with MG, and the MG normally is not fast in the straight, so I mean, it's not so nice when people always complain. I mean, at the end, the BOP is the engineer work, not our job, so we have to do the best of what we have, and yeah, for sure I will try my best to stay in front in Mandarin, and after Mandarin, then yeah, for sure it's easier to control the race from there, but we have many cars, so safety car also can be an issue at the safety car restart, but then I have luckily the advantage of the speed, so let's see.
Raffaele, good luck. Let's keep walking around the grid, because if we go to the other side of the front row, we might be able to find Dries van Thor, who has fled from his car for a moment, possibly drivers getting into the shade. So let's go further up the grid. What's that? 5 minutes, so it's going to be rather quick this, to see if we can very, very rapidly grab Mauro Engel, Sprint Cup champion in GT World Challenge Europe. Mauro, this is the ultimate sprint race, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Thoughts? You're going to be able to get past these two BMs?
It'll be tough with their top speed, but we'll give it a try.
Excellent, we'll better let you get in the car because the 5-minute border's gone. That means the grid is almost ready to be cleared. Now, this first of the two races then is going to be an absolute star race, no question about it, because you've got some absolutely top drivers jumping into the cars. We've heard from Raffaele Marciello, Dries Van Voor is another one. Vincent Vos, the team principal of WRT, we'll talk to instead. Vincent, great place for Dries to be starting this.
Yeah, well, it's only the qualifying race, so let's see where we are after the first lap, and let's build up from there.
What are the strengths of the BMW around here? Where is it really good, and why is it so good?
I mean, yeah, it's very good, let's say, in the first and second sector.
Okay.
And then we are struggling a little bit in the more twisty part, but yeah, it's a good compromise, I would say. It's a car which was quick here last year, seems to be again there, but as we know, we did not see much yesterday.
Okay, two BMWs on the front row, two different teams. Is this going to be a fight between the two, or is this all about BMW?
I hope it's also two factory BMW drivers in the car.
That's the right answer. Vincent, good luck. Vincent Vos, the man behind Team WRT that operates that car on the front row of the grid. Right, I better get off the grid. I've got a commentary box to stand in. It is nearly time to go racing at Macau.
David, thank you very much. Absolutely worth it. Super work down on the grid. Great to hear from Raffaele Marciello. As cool and calm as you could possibly imagine. And we said we have the world's top drivers. Look at the helmet, which has been specially prepared for this unique and one-off event for the FIA GT World Cup and the Macau GT Cup. Raffaele Marciello, very proud to show that helmet design off on the various social media channels in the run-up to this weekend. And this is the first race that we've got over the course of this weekend for the GT cars. GT3 machinery, I know, has grown and grown and grown here at Macau over the years, and with very good reason. The world's top drivers all competing around this hugely demanding circuit at Macau. And as we've now had the 3-minute board, David will make his way back up to the commentary box. And look at the designs on the cars that are unique for this weekend. Dries Van Tours, who we just heard from the team boss of Dries's team, WRT, and the design on that car unique to the Macau weekend. Looking at Raffaele Marciello inside the car, strapped in, ready to go. Opportunity to get the last few wafts of fresh air into the car. It's a hot day here at Macau as the teams wheel the tyre trolleys back into the paddock and pit lane, leaving just the drivers and the members of the team directly involved in the starting of this race. Antonio Fiocco lines up in 4th place on the grid, and then we go back to Mauro Engel, who we have heard from down on the grid with David just a couple of moments ago. He has won here at Macau in the Macau GT Cup, first in 2014 and 2022, and first in the GT World Cup in 2015. Sheldon van der Linde, a former DTM champion, with a wave for the cameras, gets himself ready for the start of this race, lines up 6th on the grid in his BMW, and that is a view of the GT3 machinery. Very colourful, very unique to this event here at Macau, and that is how the grid will line up. Raffaele Marciello, just heard from him, carries the number 1, won here at Macau last year alongside Dries Van Tour. The BMWs on the front row of the grid. Mercedes and Mauro Engel alongside the 83 Ferrari of Antonio Fiocco on the next row of the grid. Augusto Farfus in a BMW. He has won the GT element of the Macau weekend here in previous years and did so in incredibly fine style. And Sheldon van der Linde lines up alongside on the grid. Huffing and puffing, David has arrived back in the commentary box, but superb to hear from Raffaele Marciello and Mauro Engel down there on the grid. The reason it was superb to hear from them, they are as cool and as calm as you can possibly imagine. in. The crowds are expectant, and you can have a couple of moments, David, to get your breath back, because I know it's a long way back up to the commentary box.
It's not so much that, it's just longer when you're slaloming past thousands of people, it feels like, who have all come out here into the sunshine. Green flag lap underway.
I bet you're pleased you've done a couple of laps of the circuit over the last couple of days to get yourself ready for this, because this is one of the highlights of the Macau Grand Prix weekend. GT3 machinery around the confines of the streets of Macau is something very much, David, to savour.
I didn't glean a lot from the grid, I promise you, other than...
you showed us how cool and calm they are.
Well, and the diplomatic answer of Vincent Voss. The one thing I did manage to gain is that Jules Gounon, who crashed his car yesterday, reporting that all is absolutely fine, and it needs to be to get Jules up from near the back of the grid. So the drivers now with these Pirelli tyres, getting the temperature generated, weaving from side to side. We have got one non-start. I think I may have mentioned the fact that we lost Luca Enchley yesterday with quite a big accident.
I didn't get that far.
We lost Luca Enchley yesterday after quite a big accident, sad to say. And the car, well, what's left of the car has been certainly put into crate. That's a very badly damaged machine indeed, but the rest of the grid is good to go. Quite a surreal moment this morning out running. I've got about 1.5 kilometres away from our hotel, which is near turn 2, and there are all these containers just by the side of the road. And because yesterday it was dark, today was daylight, I had a look, and one was Craft Bamboo Racing, one was Yamaha Motorsport from the touring cars, and that's where they're all stacked.
You found where they live until this weekend.
Found the extra paddock. Yes, exactly.
When they get the chance to get out of the box and to really show what these cars can do. They are supreme GT cars, GT3 cars, representing so many manufacturers, the very pinnacle. And while we talk about the pinnacle, there is a man that has absolutely made his name here in Macau, not just in GT3 machinery, but also in single-seaters, taking the crown in the Macau Grand Prix. Edo Mortara, and it's fantastic to watch when you see Edo at the wheel of the car around the streets of Macau, because the absolute complete concentration. The thing I've noticed in previous years watching Edo at the wheel, he barely blinks.
Yes.
Around the circuit here in Macau, he barely blinks.
Yes, there was Mirko Bortolotti, Lamborghini factory driver, who was much the same, and we ended up changing him to Mirko Blinkerlotti, because when he finally did blink or slow down, he sort of went for it. It's going to be a mega race, this, and so much of it will depend on the run down towards the first corner. You had Raffaele Marciello touching on it with me down on the grid, because after you get to Lisboa, the road narrows. I mean, it doesn't look that bad, but these are big, wide, beefy cars, and anything that's good on the first couple of sectors of the lap then has the advantage over the mountain part of the track, if you like, because it is so narrow, though. It's going to be a rolling start as well, so the cars will get themselves into the 2x2 formation. Pirelli tyres, everybody runs on. GT3 Racing, with the rule set that we operate, created by Stefan Rattel, the SRO Motorsports Group founder and Chief Executive Officer, and it has been a massive success story. There's something like, estimated, between 1,500 and 1,800 GT3 cars still around and still racing as well in either contemporary or historical club level events. It has been just mind-blowingly good, and you're about to see why, because the cars are all driven by star drivers. They are all looking fantastic because of their liveries. And more than anything, on a grid of different shapes and sizes, different brands and different colours, you are about to enjoy a symphony of outstanding noise. And let that begin as they come out of the R-bend. The pace car peels into the pit lane, the light change. Raffaele Marciello gets a very good start. There's a bit of contact between Mauro Engel and the Ferrari alongside of Anthony Fuoco. They go toe-to-toe, going through a reservoir for the first time. Ferrari on the outside, Mercedes of Engel, the white Mercedes on the in. The BMW's almost rub as well, and Vantor gets his nose ahead of Marciello. This could well turn out to be for the race win, and Shelton van der Linde fifth, trying to buy into it as well as they go down towards his bow. Vantor in the lead. Up the inside goes Farfus, up the inside goes Engel. He gets a face ball of Fuoco in the Ferrari, who manages to block him out, but it is going to be Dries van Thor who has managed to hang on, but he goes deep into this bow. He's got a little bit wide, I fear. Who is going to come out the other side of all of that? It's Marciello who's gone through. Raffaele Marciello leads.
Commitment at the start of the race. We promised you excitement, and we've had it already. Dries van Thor got the best on the run down to Lisboa, going a little bit wide, we presume, and allowing Raffaele Marciello to take back the place that he will feel he earns into Lisboa, having qualified on the front row and pole position for this first race, just a qualifying race. Looking back from Marciello's BMW at Dries Van Toor.
Wow, wow, and again, wow. And you could see there the Macau experience of Raffaele Marciello, couldn't you? Say, come on, Dries, you can have a go because you ain't going to break in time. And you could see the gap open up on the inside and he ducked that through. So now, Raffaele Marciello leads the way, but a really good first lap by Antonio Fuoco to get himself up past Mauro Engel. Mauro is another Macau maestro, but he's stuck back in there. 4th place, Farfus is 5th, Van der Linde is 6th. And then in 7th place, Laurens Van Voor. Van Voor, the elder brother of Dries. But now, look, Raffaele Marciello getting away a little bit.
He is, yeah, the BMW of the number 1 BMW, Raffaele Marciello, showing a little bit of daylight between himself and the second BMW driver, Dries Van Toor, as they head their way around. It is quite remarkable getting around the Macau hairpin in a little road sport, let alone a GT3 machinery. And Raffaele Marciello, what's he doing on this first lap of the race? He is dominating, which is what he did in the race last year. He has got overall best in Sector 1, overall best in Sector 2, overall best in Sector 3 and Sector 4 as well.
But Dries Van Voor there in 2nd place now needs to sort of regroup, doesn't he? He needs to think, okay, Raffaele knows his way around here. I just need to rebuild this next couple of laps. Chip away, and he does. He takes the absolute best in the last sector until Sheldon van der Linde goes through. So these BMs looking very racy at the moment. In 3rd place, making his Macau GT debut, Antonio Fuoco. And then in 4th place is Mauro Engel. Augusto Farfus is 5th, Sheldon van der Linde 6th. The best Porsche now is Alessio Picariello there. 7th, he's got himself up past Laurens Van Voor. 9th is Christopher Haase in the Audi. And 10th, Eduardo Mortara. To my eye, that lead gap is coming down by a gnat. And Sheldon van der Linde closing on Farfus, who is closing on Engel.
We said that we have the best drivers in the world. The proof of that is that for all of the positions, they were squeezing each other off the line and on that run down towards Lisboa, and they all made it through. They all worked out which bit of tarmac they could legitimately have, and they gave each other racing room. That is a masterclass, a textbook way to get these races at Macau underway.
Absolutely, the race director I think has had a word and they've all responded correctly, as you see there. Farfus ahead of Van der Linde, a little bit of a gap back to the 2 Porsches, Picariello and Van Voor, 9th Christopher Haase, and a bigger gap back to Mortara. He's kind of the best of the rest, ahead of Ricardo Fella, and then in 12th place, Danny Juncadella. First time, just touching on Mortara, first time we've had Lamborghini represented as a factory outfit in the FIA GT World Cup. And from the FIA's point of view, it's an important race within its portfolio to have the FIA tag attached to the Macau GT Cup. It doubles up as the FIA GT World Cup. This is the qualifying race, main race tomorrow. This is the BMW in 2nd spot, then making the climb now from Moorish up towards Donna Maria.
Twisting GT3 machinery around the tightest part of the circuit, around the long left-hander at Donna Maria. You can see the race leader up there in front, the BMW, as they head into the Macau hairpin. Twist down from there, that's where the circuit opens up and they can really stretch the legs of this powerful machinery. And one thing we did mention, David, when we saw the grid, just how many manufacturers, the cream of the crop, all represented here at Macau.
Absolutely right, and there is the man that won Le Mans this year, Antonio Fuoco, ahead of Mauro Engel, who's won pretty much everything there is to win in GT cars. And Mauro Engel, the best of the Mercedes AMG drivers right now, demonstrably so, in fact, in 4th place. Everywhere you look, there's BMWs, though. A 1, 2 and a 5, 6 for BMW. Farfus 5th, Van der Linde in 6th place. And a bit like last year, Porsche not having a great time because not staying with the leading group, Picariello nor Van Voor, who are in 7th and 8th places. Best lap of the race, though, done by Dries Van Voor last time around.
About to say, he brought the gap down to just under 7/10 of a second between himself and the race leader, Raffaele Marciello. This is the way to do it for Dries Van Voor, to chip away now, put in quick lap after quick lap and bring that gap down between himself and Raffaele Marciello. Good luck if Dries Van Voor is expecting, hoping for Raffaele Marciello to make a mistake. He being one of the supreme stars of GT racing around the Macau Guia Circuit over the last few years. We always look back to a couple of years ago, a tremendous battle between Marciello and Mauro Engel, currently down there in 4th place. It was absolutely breathtaking, wasn't it?
Absolutely right. It showed the bravery. It was Engel that triumphed in that one. and we were then denied the race, really, because Marcello had a mechanical problem on the first lap. That was in the COVID era, when the poor guy had spent over a week quarantining, like all the visiting European drivers, and then the car gave up on him in the opening lap of the main race. But right now, he has got Van Voort coming back at him, but you just get the feeling, don't you, that Marcello's Macau experience will kick in again, and he'll know where to turn up the wick should he need to. But Dries Van Voort, who is another very, very successful driver, and actually the bulk of his championship successes have come in GT World Challenge Europe Sprint Cup. He won that 3 years back to back. He's been a class winner at Le Mans, he's been a winner of the Nürburgring 24 hours as well, so you know, you're looking somebody here, and they're all the same pretty much, these drivers. Their CVs dripping with title success.
Yeah, 3 times a champion in the GT World Challenge. Sprint element, an enduro element and a sprint element represent the GT World Challenge, and Dries Van Voort has shown himself to be an absolute expert in that field of racing. This is perfect, really, isn't it, for Dries? A sprint race in GT3 machinery.
The other thing just to throw into the melting pot about Dries Van Voort here, he's driving for his regular team of WRT, whereas for Raffaele Marciello, okay, he knows the car, but he's racing for one of the local teams, a successful local team as well. But Dries Van Voort and Vincent Voss, the team principal you heard from on the grid, they go back year after year, race after race. So Dries knows exactly what he's expecting from this car and what to opt for and what to get. And down he comes with the margin having stretched up to 8/10 now as Lello. Raffaele Marciello does the fastest lap of the race.
That's the way you respond, isn't it, when you're at the front of the field? Raffaele Marciello with a 2:18.1 a response, an overall best lap of the race, and it extends the gap over Dries Van Voort by the tune of 0.2 of a second. 0.8 of a second between Marciello and Van Voort at the end of lap number 3.
So race leaders currently work lap number 4. Replay of the start. Have a look at Van Voort, really good getaway. Now look at Fuoco and Engel, they touched, and also Christopher Halser, and it was Ricardo Feller up the inside. He got crowded out as well in the other Audi. But this was where Van Voort was mega brave, and he got round the outside, just going down towards Mandarin. That takes commitment. Fuoco up the inside of Engel. Van der Linde tried to follow through, didn't he, in the red and blue BMW, but then he was mugged by Farfus. Engel got blocked out by Fuoco. Now keep your eye on Van Voort. He's got the lead, but he's not got the right line, and he braked just slightly too late. Look at his line compared to Marcello's. Might only have been half a car's width wide, but it was enough.
And I reckon there would have been a fairly limited gap between that car and the barrier as they went around Lisboa. That was, yeah, quite a moment for Dries Van Voort, I reckon, as the rest of the field safely made their way through. It was very busy behind them, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was rather, yes.
Yeah, just a little bit too close, but the great news is that they all got through, and we are now being treated to a race that can actually get into some kind of flow, and that's maybe something that everyone here at Macau over the last couple of days has been hoping for, because we've had wet, tricky surfaces, and in fact on day 1 we were a little bit worried about the BMWs. They weren't faring awfully well on day 1 when it was wet, when it was greasy, when it was slippy, but when it really counted yesterday on a drier circuit, the BMWs were able to show exactly what they could do. Lock out the front row, that's what they did.
And a new fastest lap briefly done by Fuoco, now done by Van der Linde, illustrating what BMWs can do. Lead gap 0.9 of a second, and Mauro Engel in the hitherto dominant Mercedes AMG is in danger of losing a place, isn't he? Because another driver like Mauro, who has won the FIA GT World Cup, Augusto Farfus is right there behind him, and so Fuoco third is getting away. Now can that Ferrari do anything at all about those ahead? Last time Fuoco lapped quicker, and if he can shake off Engel, who's a bit busy fending off Farfus and Van der Linde, that might just go in favour of Fuoco.
Fastest lap of the race has now gone to Augusto Farfus. He has won the GT World Cup, the FIA GT World Cup here at Macau as well, and he's currently down there in 5th place with Sheldon Van der Linde just behind, who looks to be putting in a pacey lap this time. He's got overall best in Sector 1 as Sheldon, a former DTM champion is Sheldon Van der Linde. Augusto Farfus with the overall best lap of the race, a 2:17.7.
Down the hit cam towards us then as you look at Mauro Engel running in 4th place, getting away on that part of the track from Farfus, and that brings him nearer to Fuoco. But the Ferrari did lap quicker than both the leading BMWs last time around. So if Engel starts to have to defend that 4th place, it does help Antonio Fuoco, but when he's not, the Ferrari is kind of in no man's land. It sort of falls away from the BMWs, but it's just quick enough to keep the Mercedes AMG at bay. Talking of which, I mentioned pre-race, Jules Gounon reporting his car was okay. maybe not quite so, because Jules is still stuck in 22nd place. He's not been able to get himself up a position at all, and that's a bit of a surprise given that it's his second visit, and he is here for a different team this year and with a bit more experience, but still the troubles seem to be there for Jules Gounon, and he's lost about 5 seconds to the traffic ahead, so maybe it's still a legacy of the damage yesterday.
So disappointing for a driver that is so able in a GT3 car, not able to shine, not able to show exactly what he can do for the second year running here at Macau. Such a shame.
It is, but Macau pace doesn't translate everywhere, and the other way around. As you see, Fuoco, then Le Mans winner ahead of Mauro Engel, this year's GT World Challenge Europe Sprint Cup champion with Lucas Auer. And as they go across the timing line, new fastest lap done by Marciello. Tyres are getting all nice and hot, fuel load is getting nice and low, so the car's getting quicker as the race wears on, and he's now over a second clear of Vanthor, who could argue, well, you know, I'll still be on the front row for tomorrow's race, I'll have another go for the race lead, but there is a bit of pride at stake here, and Raffaele Marciello wants to go to bed tonight knowing he's a winner yet again on the streets of Macau.
This is such good news. This is how you do it. So we can get into a groove in this race. We've got 5 laps complete. The world's best GT drivers are giving the crowd what they want, and that is to see wheel-to-wheel racing right the way down the order. Here's a great example. Heading into, we've got a Lamborghini, and that is the Lamborghini of Eduardo Mortara. He is a rock star here in Macau. He can't walk from point A to point B without young people, old people, middle-aged people wanting a photograph, wanting a moment with Edo Mortara, who has stood on the top step of the podium in GTs and in single-seaters here at Macau. He is a legend around Macau, and he is giving the crowd exactly what they want. Good close racing.
And he's busy battling with Ricardo Feller, who was last year's Sprint Cup champion in GT World Challenge Europe, the German GT champion to boot as well, the ADAC GT Championship. Right, what's going on lower down? Because Thomas Preining's Porsche 15th, Laurin Heinrich, who had an off in qualifying, 17th, and Adley Fong in the Kuromi Rabbit liveried Audi. He is also a bit mired in the traffic in 19th place. Looking at Fuoco 3rd and Engel 4th. Ferrari versus Mercedes AMG, coming down to the Malco hairpin on this 6th lap in this 12-lap race. And as they turn through the corner, 5th and 6th BMW, 7th and 8th Porsche, Picciarello ahead of Vanthor. Here's 9th, that's Christopher Hauser. Get back 10th, that's Mortara. 11th, the Audi is Ricardo Feller. In 12th place, Danny Juncadeo, the yellow Ferrari, FIA 13th, then Ralph Aarons, blue and white Mercedes, 14th, Thomas Preining, 15th, Daniel Serra, the black Porsche, Laurin Heinrich, then Matteo Cairoli, then Adley Fong in the Kuromi Audi, then Leo Yi, and there's a big wait before James Yu arrives, and then Jules Gounon after him. That was your top 20 at Melco. There are your leaders at the end of the lap.
Leaders coming up to complete 6 laps. 6 laps in the book now for Raffaele Marciello with a 1.2 second advantage over Dries Van Tour. 2 BMWs at the front of the field, and then the Ferrari of Antonio Fuoco. And if you win the Le Mans 24-hour race, you are pretty good. In 3rd place, Ferrari, and that's good to see here at Macau. Great to see a Ferrari right up at the sharp end.
And again, lapping quicker than the BMWs ahead last time. Fuoco means fire, doesn't it? Well, he's well ignited now as he goes after Vanthor and Marciello. And this is the view heading down towards Lisboa. You can see the barriers on the right. There's a corner somewhere, and you kind of have to guess where it is, because all of a sudden, there, look, the barriers just recede on the right-hand side, and that's where you aim the car. Blind corner. Armco barriers either side of you, and now the climb up San Francisco. This is Mortara's view. You're 10th at the moment.
Enjoy the noise as you go on board with Eduardo Mortara. Unbelievable to get a driver's ear view of what goes on around the streets of Macau. Such a mechanical process and such a busy cockpit.
But there you've got somebody, a master at work, as you made the point, winner in GT, winner in F3 for the Grand Prix here. So if anybody knows what they're doing around this lap, it is him. His car being run by Vincenzo Sospiri Racing, and it's perhaps unfair to really judge him this year because he's in a new brand and a new team operating it around here. So there's quite a learning curve going on compared to some of the other brands and teams that have been here for season after season. But Eduardo Mortara trying to make some more progress at the start of tomorrow's race, which will be the main FIA GT World Cup race itself. Down to Macau hairpin then.
Threading his way through the Macau hairpin, where the circuit begins to open up.
Kadea is there in the white and green Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes. Behind him is Yifiyi. We're looking further down the order. There goes Karomi and Lifong at the wheel. And this is through Black Sands. Yifiyi in the yellow Ferrari ahead of Ralph Aaron in number 7 Mercedes. Race leaders have just gone across the line, incidentally, and the lead margin is up to 1.2 seconds now. On board with Yifiyi.
Sort of waxes and wanes, doesn't it, between 1.2, 1.5, 1.6. Does that suggest that Raffaele Marciello has this very much under control? The gap between Dries Van Toor and himself, the two BMWs at the front of the field. The best lap, personal best of the race, has just gone the way of Dries Van Toor in his efforts to bring down the gap between himself and Raffaele Marciello. Is that opening lap going to be the only chance that Dries Van Toor has during the course of a 12-lap race for this qualification race for the FIA GT World Cup of Macau GT Cup here? Of course, the big race tomorrow to look forward to, where the grandstands will be packed. Absolutely no space in the grandstands tomorrow. There's very little space in the grandstands today as they enjoy the GTs. 5 laps to go, 7 laps in the book. Dries Van Toor is really mounting a challenge now. Overall best in Sector 2.
Indeed so, and he was slightly quicker in Sector 1 as well, wasn't he? So he's piecing this lap together nicely. Raffaele Marciello, though, with all of that experience, not only of here, but of GT racing globally, multiple champion, multiple race winner, and making this look relatively easy up front. Mauro Engel, though, has suddenly woken up. Absolute best Sector 3. So Engel starting to hustle on behind Cuoco, but this is Raffaele Marciello at work.
See the two little golden stars on the just in front of the chin of Raffaele Marciello on that helmet, and they represent the 2 wins that he's had in GT racing here at Macau. A beautiful design of the helmet.
It is indeed. Looking at the pack coming through, in a moment you will see Danny Juncadea's green and white Mercedes, behind which is the yellow Ferrari of Yifiyi, and then a little bit further back after that, you'll see it in a moment coming to the top, just out of Donna Maria, the blue and white Mercedes of Ralph Aaron. Now, he's here as a racing driver. There he is, look, coming into shot ahead of the purple Porsche. 14th he runs, but when he's not behind the wheel, he's also the team manager for Prema Racing, which of course has got 3 cars in the FR World Cup, the Macau Grand Prix itself.
Busy weekend, busy weekend, and bearing in mind, we'll see them lining up on the grid in just a few moments after the conclusion of this race. So, wow,
helmet off, headset on.
What a preparation, eh?
Well, he can go back to the drivers and say, right, I know what the circuit feels like, I know where the rubber might be, know where it might be slippery. So there is Ralph Aaron, very accomplished racing driver himself, had a few years away, went off to work with Prema, and then somebody noticed that, hang on, you're still quite a good graded driver. So he was brought back into GT racing a couple of years ago. He's also been a 3 times winner of that world-famous event, Alan, the Palaga 1,006 kilometres.
We know it and love it well. Dries Van Toor is really mounting this challenge to put on the pressure on Raffaele Marciello. He's brought the gap down to 1.1 seconds, and he has done so with the fastest lap of the race, 2:17.099. 8 laps complete, 4 laps to go, including the lap that they are on. And Augusto Farfus in 5th place is doing what Augusto Farfus does. It is to be the quickest of any in the first sector. Year after year, he does this.
So last time around, another 2/10 pulled back by Dries Van Toor is there. Look, Mortara getting perilously close to the concrete. Ricardo Feller right up behind it. At the Audi R8, of course, it's a similar platform on which the Lamborghini comes from. It's a venerable car now, the R8. It's the LMS GT3 Evo 2. It has moved on from its introduction a good decade plus ago. But Audi Sport's commitment these days is being limited because of the Formula 1 concentration. But Ricardo Feller and Christopher Haase, who are here still on the factory payroll and still able to deliver, still very, very quick drivers indeed. Mortara climbs to Donna Maria, running in 10th place. Ricardo Feller in 11th. And currently we're working lap number 9 of the Guia Circuit, with the absolute best sectors being almost distributed evenly amongst the top 5 drivers at the moment. Van Toor is on another quick lap. and let's see how much closer to Marciello he has got. Vincent Voss of WRT did say on the grid, you know, it's about representing BMW. Yeah, that's fine. But just like Dries Van Voor wants to be the winning driver, Vincent Voss wants his team to be top dog within the BMW rank. So it's still game on here. They're going now through Reservoir, out of that fast left, and the speed building. The gap between them is down to 9/10 of a second. Another fastest lap of the race by Dries Van Voor. 2:17.020. We're on that 10 and 12, and it's game on.
It really is, and this could present us with a very, very exciting final 3 laps, as if the 9 laps we've enjoyed already hasn't been exciting enough. Dries Van Voor is chipping away lap after lap now. He's putting in the fastest lap of the race. 2:17.020 for Dries Van Voor. This is impressive stuff. It's going to give us a grandstand finish if it carries on this way. Personal best for Raffaele Marciello, but it was still 2/10 away from the lap that Dries Van Voor has just put in.
But we were saying in the course of qualifying what a laid-back character Raffaele Marciello can be, and he's quite at ease to say at the end of it to Dries Van Voor, you know, that fastest lap, you know, all that pushing, I still won. I'm still the winner. You only have to win by 1,000th of a second as long as you win, and that is uppermost in his mind.
Such a character, isn't he? There are so many characters in motorsport around the world, and none so much as in GT racing, and Raffaele Marciello is one of them. A huge character, always as cool and as calm as you could possibly ask for. But Dries Van Voor, he's not taking this line down. He's in second. He's brought the gap down to less than a second at the end of lap number 9. At the end of this lap, there will be only 2 laps to go.
And Laurens Van Voor, who is down in 8th in the second of the Porsches, has also just done an absolute best sector 3. So out of nowhere, the Porsche suddenly responds. The leader's concertinaing a little bit, and actually it's not just Dries Van Voor, is it? It's also Antonio Fuoco who is looking a little bit closer. Okay, last lap he wasn't quite so rapid, but he did get away from Engel by 4/10 of a second, and there is that gap. So Raffaele Marciello will be on the radio to the team. The team will be giving him the information that he needs about the number of laps to go, about the gap over Dries Van Voor. And they all know that really he's getting through this. Yes, you want a good grid position for tomorrow, but you also need the car in one piece. And out of the R-bend, up towards the timing line, comes Raffaele Marciello. He goes through now. The BMW booms past the pits, another lap boxed off. The gap is up again to just over a second. These 3-litre turbo BMWs, the M4 GT3s, ahead of the 2.9 turbo 6-cylinder Ferrari. And then the grunt and go front engine Mercedes Amaro Engel. And this isn't something we often say. The Mercedes dropping back. They've been the dominant brand, Mercedes AMG, for the last few years. But right now, it's very much advantage to BMW.
It is, and I'll say it again as well, a great to have a Ferrari in a podium position at the hands of Antonio Fuoco in 3rd place. We've concentrated on this battle for the lead of the race, and rightly so. But to have a Ferrari doing well here at Macau is super stuff. Mauro Engel, meanwhile, he is such a great driver around the streets of Macau. He's also one of those cool and calm characters. When you spoke to him on the grid, smiling, beaming, he does it throughout the weekend here at Macau.
And I know I bang on about it, but he is the most Australian of Germans. He had a couple of years in V8 supercars, and boy, can you tell, because he's still got that Aussie twang in his accent, and he's got all of that Australian showmanship that the touring car drivers have to play to the cameras. He's a cracking guy. Now, here, Marciello and Van Voor still running close together. It's about 1 second, that margin between them. Dries Van Voor trying to edge a little bit closer. Let's see the cars coming up the hill. And Marciello goes into Donna Maria now. Let's have a replay here. Now this, have a look at Marciello. This is coming out of Black Sands. And look, lots of tyre marks on the ground. He's so quick out of the right-hander of Fisherman's. That's where he's able to steal that march over Van Voor. And if you're putting rubber on the road there, just by acceleration, you're trying.
You are absolutely trying, as indeed the complete field have, because we have 10 laps complete this lap and 1 more to go in the qualification race for the Macau GT Cup and FIA GT World Cup as well. And Raffaele Marciello for BMW leads Dries Van Voor for BMW. They come up towards the line, are about to go onto their final lap, and look how close they are, down to 0.7 of a second. Dries Van Toor, another fastest lap of the race. Grandstand, stand by.
Last lap, BMW looking for more Macau honours. Of course, it's been a successful round in the Macau GT Cup, successful too over the many years of the gear race. But right now, it is Marciello from Vanthor. The gap was only 0.7 when they came over the line. Down towards Lisboa they come. Vanthor is going to be close by the end of the lap, but he's not going to be able to have a go, I don't think, unless Marciello makes a rare mistake. Fuoco in third, and Mauro Engel has dropped back now to the best part of half a second away. Fifth is Sparta, sixth is Van der Linde, and there might be a change here because Mortara has got Ricardo Fellow right up behind him. Down towards Lisboa they come. Audi on the outside. Mortara says, look, I've got a waxwork of me in the museum. I'm Mr. Macau. Know your place. You stay behind.
I've got a waxwork. Have you?
Yeah, exactly.
No, stay where you are.
There you go. You're 11.
Raffaele Marciello and Dries Van Toor on their final lap. 0.7 of a second between the two of them. And then this mouth-watering battle between Mr. Macau, Eduardo Mortara, and Ricardo Fella as well. Tantalising stuff for the crowds here at Macau that are enjoying the sunshine and GT3 racing around the streets of Macau. This has been perfect. It's what we've all needed after the last day and 2.5 days with tricky conditions, wet conditions, greasy conditions, and now they can stretch their legs and show what they can do.
And Vanthor is closer, and he did the fastest lap last time through. He was 0.3 quicker, but I think Marciello's got everything under control. It is going to be close. It's going to be a great photo finish for BMW, isn't it, with the two cars in the same shot? But Raffaele Marciello will be ahead. Dries Vanthor in second place. And again, Marciello is so good through this part of the racetrack, down through Black Sands, heading now through Fisherman's. Let's see whether he's able to put 11s on the road again. Dries Vanthor still charging behind him. Fuoco third, and Mauro Engel is going to drop off the podium for a rare time at Macau. Checkered flag will be at the ready to round out Macau GT Cup qualification race, won by Raffaele Marciello from Dries Vanthor in second place. The gap at the flag, 0.666 of a second, which is a devil of a time. Antonio Fuoco takes third ahead of Mauro Engel. Augusto Farfus fifth, and Sheldon van der Linde sixth, and he does the best lap of the race as he takes the checkered flag. Sheldon van der Linde sixth. Seventh, Alessio Picariello from Lawrence Vanthor, Christopher Haalse ninth, and Edo Mortara just hangs on to 10th. And we got through without a yellow, without a safety car. You've just witnessed the world's best GT racers on one of the world's great tracks.
Doing what they do, absolutely supreme. I didn't dare say that, but we got all the way to the end of the race. We saw the checkered flag. The crowd have seen what they wanted to see, a proper race. Let's get on board and see what happened at the start of the race that set this up for victory around the streets of Macau. There's Dries Van Toor looking back from Raffaele Marciello. Dries Van Toor was quick off the line, goes to the outside. This is the run down towards Lisboa, and this is what's really set up the rest of the race.
Fuoco through on the inside of Engel, but he goes wide, so Engel tried to have a go at him. Up the inside of both, tried to go Farfus. Sheldon van der Linde was looking for a way through, but this is Marciello's view. Now we're going to see what Vanthor did wrong, and look, he just brakes ever so slightly late. Is there a gap? Is there a gap? Side by side, look, on the run to San Francisco, and that is how you do it. Two respectful GT drivers, but Marciello had track position on the inside. Job done.
A masterclass in how to give racing room and respect. Absolutely supreme. Wow, we're lucky.
What a drive, hey? So, Raffaele Marciello triumphs again, but a really interesting race, a fascinating battle between those two BMW drivers. But you've seen, and Alan's made the point already, how it can be done around the streets of Macau, because we didn't have the carnage that other categories have had over the course of the weekend. Maybe the message is getting through.
He's got number one on the car, and he has been number one consecutively now for a long time. Quickest in qualifying last year. Won the qualification race, won the FIA GT World Cup last year, and now takes pole position in 2024 and the first race win. Raffaele Marciello, that's a lucky helmet he's wearing, and he will be as cool and as calm as you can imagine when he gets out of the car.
There are lots of drivers over the course of the history of motorsport that can claim that, you know, I should have been a Grand Prix driver, and Tom Christensen is a very obvious one. But bearing in mind that just over a decade ago, Raffaele was the FIA Formula 3 European champion. He was tipped to be going to Ferrari maybe to do more than just test drive. It never quite clicked for him in single-seaters. Instead, he has won largely for Mercedes-AMG. This is first year for BMW. Championship after championship, race after race. Sports car racing has been lucky to have him in a sense, but just wonder what might have been in single-seaters. Dries van Thor came likewise from single-seaters, had a couple of years of Formula Renault into GT racing. And Antonio Fuoco, the same, Formula Renault champion, Formula 3 race winner, and then sports car racing came unlocking, GT3 and Hypercar. And all of those top three not only represent BMW or Ferrari within GT3 ranks, but in World Endurance in Hypercar regulations as well. So the adaptability, you're not just talking going from single-seaters to GT cars in your career, but going from one feel of car, one type of aero, one weekend to a different the next.
Super result for BMW, super result for Ferrari as well here at the Guia Circuit at Macau. They had one job really, it was to take the fight to Mercedes, and I think they have both done exactly that. The lead Mercedes off the podium, Mauro Engel in 4th place, Gustav Farfus in 5th place, and Sheldon van der Linde completes the top 6. BMW came, saw and conquered at Macau. What will happen tomorrow for the privilege of holding high the FIA GT World Cup?
Well, it's going to be down at the start, isn't it? But of course, Dries van Thor showed intent, showed what he can do, but it was that tiny little slip down at Lisboa, and that will haunt Dries overnight, and it's going to be in his mind tomorrow as well. But well done, he says to Raffaele Marciello. The next thing that Dries needs to do is just have a saunter through the paddock and go and say to his big brother, I was second, where were you then? Oh, only 9th, was it? Oh, okay. I'm going to the podium. Back soon. So well done, Dries van Thor, 2nd place.
Could you take my phone and take a couple of pictures? Would you mind?
Yes, because you're not busy.
It's the first time that we think that both of the Van Thors have been at Macau, and that's good to see. Although Dries won't be thinking too much about that at the moment, he will be thinking about the job that they have done today for BMW. It's a super day for BMW. Yesterday was as well. They locked out the front row of the grid, and now they lock out the top 2 places on the podium. Super stuff for Raffaele Marciello. I said he'd be cool and calm and relaxed, didn't I? He really is, as they are
That's a pretty safe bet, though.
Yes, indeed. And you can see the joy as they are going to be taken over to the holding area for the podium presentations.
And Matteo Braga from Pirelli is there with the special Pirelli award, the Pirelli Racing Activities Manager. So although there are trophies for the podium, Pirelli with the Dragon Trophy, giving that to Raffaele Marciello. So nice touch from Pirelli to help to support the event, and another one for the trophy cabinet for Raffaele Marciello. So the drivers make their way to the podium. In the background, Laurent Granville, the race coordinator, getting everybody to where they should be. And we can see Raffaele Marciello, the winner, by 0.6 of a second from Dries van Thor. And Antonio Fuoco 3rd. Mauro Engel 4th from Augusto Farfus and Sheldon van der Linde. Alessio Picariello 7th, ahead of Lawrence van Thor. Then Christopher Haase with Edo Mortara in 10th place. In 11th spot in the end. It was for the best of the rest, if you like, at the end of the GT Cup race, Ricardo Feller, who couldn't quite find a way past Eduardo Mortara. Danny Juncadeo was 12th, Yeye was 13th from Ralph Aaron, and then Thomas Preining, Daniel Serra, who'd looked good actually early on in qualifying yesterday and got quite a long way down, but he was ahead of Laurin Heinrich and Matteo Cairoli. Adley Fong 19th, and Leo Yi was 20th, ahead of James Yu and Jules Gounon in 20th place. And I offer you the next fact purely for Alan Hyde. Kuromi the Rabbit has made it through unscathed.
We didn't get a chance to talk about Kuromi the Rabbit. When do you want me to start?
Well, I'll give you 1 minute without deviation or repetition, sort of starting now. Silent race. Instead, we'll have a look at some of the highlights of the qualifying race for the Macau GT Cup. So, a great win for Raffaele Marciello. That's going to put him on pole position for tomorrow's Macau GT Cup, the FIA GT World Cup. Join us for that tomorrow. Join us in around 20 minutes or so when we'll see the equivalent qualifying race for the 2024 Macau Grand Prix.